Ladies and gentlemen, we are now living in the country's most important period in its young life. We have gained our independence through blood and sweat, but we now must look forward to the future. Together, we face our first conflict as a nation. Will we choose to side with progress or failure? Our primary goal is to make this new nation a success. And that is why I, Lucas Armand, implore you to repeal the Articles of Confederation and to forge a new constitution that will stand the test of time and will grant our people the opportunity to reach the full potential that this new world has to offer. We call ourselves the United States of America. But I pose only one question. Are we united as our name suggests? Or are we divided, fighting amongst ourselves? In order to live up to our name, we need a constitution which provides one government that's strong and that is central, instead of dividing us up into separate governmental bodies, the states. We as a people are intelligent enough and stable enough to govern ourselves without these flimsy Articles of Confederation, which are the documents that will brutally silence our young nation before we can make our mark on the world. Our nation's fathers did not create these articles with the pure intention of destruction, however. They were afraid of bringing dictatorship or monarchy into such a young nation, therefore spoiling the great potential that our country had. Had our nation ended up like Britain with its tyrannical monarchy, then the entire revolution would have lost all meaning. And the Articles of Confederation have done some positive things, such as expanding foreign trade with other countries and providing a well-organized westward expansion for the United States across the Appalachian Mountains. For example, the Articles passed the Northwest Ordinance, which took a large sector of land north of the Ohio River and east of the Mississippi and divided it into several smaller sectors. It established a Bill of Rights for the settlers, guaranteed freedom of religion, and made sure there was no slavery or forced labor going on in the West, which were all very good things for this young nation's future. Of course, this and much more could be achieved with an intelligently crafted constitution. America is undergoing a depression. Money has fallen in value to the point where it is almost worthless. Many people cannot acquire food because of the high prices and the low value of our currency. Worse, Congress has no way of getting money to pay our debts, as they have no power to tax. The states reserve the power to tax citizens, and they cannot properly fund our nation. We still owe enormous amounts of money to several European nations, not to mention our own soldiers. I understand that our country has fought a war to be freed from taxes. However, without the aid of taxes, Congress will fall apart and our new nation will shatter. The Articles of Confederation will lead to this result unless we stop it now. If we need proof that our country is in a dire need for a tax system, we need only look at Daniel Shea and his rebellion. Daniel Shea was one angry farmer who didn't get his money back after contributing in the war because we, as a nation, didn't have any money to give. He was in debt because of this and would have been taken to debtor's prison if he couldn't pay it off. He decided to gather his fellow disgruntled farmers and go block the Boston court and force it to close in order to prevent them from making the farmers pay their debts. In a rage, they set out to destroy the federal arsenal at Springfield, Massachusetts, which would collapse any chance of resistance to the rebellion. It should be a major signal to us as American citizens that there is a fundamental flaw in our governing system when men who risk their lives to create this proud nation will actively fight against it soon after due to a poorly written governmental document. Not only issues with money, but major problems with national cooperation come to light when running under the Articles of Confederation. We still host British soldiers stationed at several forts in the Great Lakes region. They are not holding up their end of the Treaty of Paris. The treaty states that there should be no British troops east of the Mississippi River. The British says that they will honor their end of the bargain when we honor it. What they mean by this is that the treaty requires that the states pay paid loyalists for the property that was damaged during the war. But the states have refused to do this, without regard for national interests. The states cannot be permitted to carry on like this, pursuing their own interests and disregarding the country as a whole. Congress cannot get the states to act for the good of the country because Congress has no power due to the Articles of Confederation. In 1781, our country faced a major financial crisis. To solve the problem, a Philadelphian merchant named Robert Morris proposed a 5% tax on imported goods to pay off the national debt. The plan required a change in the Articles of Confederation. Even though 12 states approved the change, Rhode Island did not approve this, and therefore shut down the entire proposal. This financial crisis worsened because one state had the power to follow its own interests, no matter the possible negative ramifications. This is clearly a system that will drive our country into the ground before it can properly stand up. Giving states individual control does not work, and nothing will be accomplished until we unite as a nation under one constitution. The new constitution that I am proposing is and will be the solution to the disaster that is the Articles of Confederation. My goal is to alter the structure of the federal government so that it has more power than many state governments. The federal government would be split into 3 branches, and each branch would be equally powerful in the system called checks and balances. We would also change the federal government so it has the ability to tax people, so we can actually pay our debts and our people. Instead of many divided militias, we will have one federal military. In order to represent all states, small and large, the legislative branch, the branch that writes the laws, there will be 2 houses to fix each state's needs. The House of the Senate, which would hold 2 representatives from each state, no matter what the population, and the House of Representatives, which would have representation based on population of each state. The new government would also have a single court system, instead of having many different court systems that we have now. They would also be able to regulate trade that our nation undergoes. There will also be an executive branch, consisting of a president and his cabinet. The executive branch will be the face of the nation, but it will not become an all-powerful force. This means that the leader, the president, will not be in complete charge like a dictator or a king. And he or she is the figure elected by the people to lead the nation and hold it together. The people would get their individual rights from a document called the Bill of Rights, which lists the most basic privileges a person will have for them to act properly within our newly crafted nation. I cannot stress enough the dire situation our country is facing. The Articles of Confederation are destined to lead America to her early grave unless we do something about it. This is because the Articles give our central government no actual governing power, handing it all over to the individual states, who cannot agree on what is best for the country. The nation is in terrible debt because the government cannot tax its people, and because of that, cannot form the national protection that we need through a federal military. The new Constitution, the ray of hope through our sorrows and despairs, will fix these issues by giving our federal government more power than the unruly state governments, allowing the government to collect taxes, have an even distribution of power, and obtain a powerful federal military. We will fight to ensure that the rights of our individual citizens are kept intact so that no man is left out, and that there will be never one person with too much power. This Constitution is not just a revision to a failed document of government, but a change for a new beginning, a new hope for the people of the world and the United States of America.